Everyone. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Today we are going to do a practice that I've had planned out for a while, and I'm really looking forward to sharing it. That's really going to bring us back to the basics, the fundamentals of the understanding of yoga, according to Patanjali. So we'll be working with one of the very first of the sutras and really encouraging and inviting our movement to be a form of meditation, and also how the movement in the physical form can really support us and uplift us in our meditation and mental practice. So, we'll be doing some pretty fundamental type of movement today. However, always recommend to have blocks, blanket if you like to have those to support. And I think that's going to be it. So if you need a moment to set up your space, you can pause it. I'll see you on the mat in just a moment. And this will be a class that's appropriate for like a lunch hour class. It'll be a little bit under an hour, so you can hopefully squeeze it in during those little moments in the day that you have to dedicate to your practice. All right. See you on the mat. Once you're set up here, you can start in a seat. I like to prop myself up on a cushion. It just is what feels best for my body, but you're welcome to come all the way to the floor if you prefer, or even to sit back on your heels. And then just take a moment to settle your body into the space, onto your mat. Take a few breaths. So in the Yoga Sutra, this book of beautiful aphorisms to help develop our study and our understanding of what this, huge, colossal, infinite thing of yoga is. The first few of the threads really map out a definition according to Patanjali, which, of course, most of the modern yoga that we're practicing is really rooted in this more modern text. And so today I want to perhaps introduce, or perhaps for some of you, refresh. And we'll be working on anchoring into Sutra 1.2. So it's the second sutra from the very first book. So very early on, which is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. And some of you, if you've done training with me, have chanted this one many, many times. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which translates to, well, depending on whose translation you're looking at, but something like yoga is the slowing of the fluctuations of the mind, the vrittis. Okay, yogash, and then the vrittis, those mind waves and fluctuations. So some translations say it's the stilling of the mind. I challenge whether or not that's actually possible. So I prefer to use the term the slowing or the softening. Yoga is the slowing or the softening of the fluctuations in the mind. So this practice will be focusing on using the breath and movement to quiet and clear mental chatter, which we happen to be moving into spring season here in the northern hemisphere. So I feel like working on creating that clarity and that cleanliness from the chitta vrittis, the mental chatter, is just so important, particularly at this time of year, to cultivate this inner clarity, inner cleanliness. So we'll be synchronizing movement with breath and creating a moving meditation, which will hopefully support you in clearing distractions and refining focus, and just kind of polishing up and awakening that inner light. So if you haven't already dropped in, let your mind follow the rhythm, the wave of your moving breath. The mind, like water, becomes clear only when it starts to become still. Our practice today is going to support us in moving through distractions to come toward a point of greater inner clarity. And let's begin with a pranayam. Typically, I like to finish with pranayam, but today we want to really pierce right into that mind layer. So I like to grab my block. We'll be moving through Nadi Shodhana. So if you already know this one and you're familiar with it, go ahead and pop right in. Otherwise, we'll be bringing the piece and the middle finger of the, or the piece finger, the index and the middle finger, your peace fingers, of your right hand down to the pad of your thumb. So Vishnu Mudra. This one is a little painful for my hand. If you find that, the alternative I like to take is Nisagra, which is the peace fingers to the third eye point. So if that works better for you, you can check that out. You can land there. This is a parasympathetic nervous system pranayam, so really quite safe for almost all. However, if breath practices are aggravating or agitating for you for any reason, you can always visualize it, move through it in your mind rather than doing the actual practice. Okay. So you can land your peace fingers to your third eye point or tuck them into your thumb. Perhaps your right elbow is supported. Breathe in through both nostrils and out through both nostrils. And then block your left nostril and inhale only through your right. And at the tippy top of your breath, go ahead and block your right nostril and open up your left so that you can exhale. Now with the left side open, inhale through that same open channel. And again, at the peak of your inhale, you'll swap sides. So close your left and open your right to exhale. Right side stays open as you inhale. At the peak of your inhale, you swap. So right side closes, left side opens to exhale. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. So let's take just a few more rounds. Continue at your own pace. This breath practice, Nadi Shodhana, cleansing, a clearing for two very major nadis or kind of highways, pathways of the energy body system. Support balance for the mind, a clearing of energetic clutter. Really encourages awareness of the breath and an anchor for the mind. The next time you exhale through your right nostril, so we finish the cycle from where we started, go ahead and release your hand. If you are supported on a block, you can set that to the side. And just take a few breaths here to find gentle movement for your neck, a circle for your head in both directions. Bring that movement toward hips and waist, just a little bit of movement here before we find our way into tabletop, move in both directions. And then go ahead and wiggle and squirm your way toward tabletop. I'm going to meet you there. Knees can stack up beneath your hips, elbows and wrists underneath your shoulders. Press the earth away. Vidhalasana, an oscillation between your cow and your cat shapes, some gentle flexion and extension for your spine. Marjanasana, Vidhalasana. See if you can synchronize the movement of your physical form with the movement of your breath. This is really a back to the basics for asana practice. Sometimes we like to get super complex with our practice and we can really lose sight of the name of the game, right? The definition of the practice, the intention. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha, the stilling, the quieting of the mind. Go ahead and draw your way back towards something neutral. Tuck your toes under behind you. Let's take a seat back on the heels for just a few breaths with your toes tucked under. And then as you lean your weight forward, once again, set up your upper body for your downward facing dog foundation. I like to turn my fingertips out just slightly. Many years of down dogs might do the same to your wrists. And we're gonna float the hips up high and back. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Step your feet in just a little bit closer than your traditional down dog. Reach your right hand back to connect anywhere on your left leg. So it could be from hip to heel. Just getting into a really big spinal twist. And then notice how with your exhales, you might find a little more openness in your form. Perhaps you rotate deeper, perhaps not. Bring it all the way back towards center. And then swap. So left hand comes to anywhere to the outside of your right leg, anywhere from hip to heel. Nice big twist. Bring it all the way back to center. And then walk your feet up just one footprint at a time toward the tippy top of your mat. And Uttanasana, you're always welcome to land into blocks here or perhaps hands to the earth. Come up just halfway. So each time that's fingertips, blocks, or shins. You know the routine by now, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale on down, Uttanasana. I like to work my way up with wide wings. Some folks prefer prayer hands as you lift, your preference. And then breathe your hands together toward heart center, Samasthitihi. Before we move through some Surya Namaskars, these really classic series of postures, which were really developed to not just address the whole body, but to build this mind-body connection that we're trying to remind ourselves of with today's Sankalpa. I want to just take some lateral movements to open up some space for the ribs first. So let's inhale the hands up high, and then go ahead and grab your left wrist with your right hand. Pull your fingertips up and then lean on over toward your right side. You might swing your gaze up under your left elbow. And come on back to center. Find your right wrist, take a pull upward, fingertips toward the sky, and then lean on down toward your left side. Again, you might lift your gaze up under your right elbow. Breathe it on back to center. You can breathe both hands to your heart. Samasthitihi, our starting and ending point of the salutations. Before we come into movement, just rooting into our intention, our sankalp again. Yoga. So the definition, after Patanjali says, now the practice of yoga has begun, right? In Sutra 1.1, then he proceeds to define, well, what is yoga? If it's begun now, what is it? It's the quieting of the fluctuations in the mind. So as you begin to move your body in more exaggerated expressions, how can you continue to keep that peace of quiet mind, calm mind, even if the body is working hard? Let's inhale the arms out wide and high. You might want to lift your gaze towards your fingertips. Exhale to take it down towards your Uttanasana. You know the options. It's a lift up halfway from there. Exhale, root your palms and step it all the way back. We'll take several rounds of this really traditional sequence, but in the first round, let's all land knees as we start to warm the body. So knees, and then chest, and then chin. We'll start building in Chaturanga from the next round. Untuck your toes, come to the earth. Roll your shoulders down your back, Bhujangasana. Exhale to the earth. And then lift on up through table. Tuck your toes, and it's downward facing dog. 2 big breaths. So we've walked up once. If you like that option, carry on. You might like to start building in a lunge, step one foot and then the other. Help with your hands if you'd like. Uttanasana. It's a halfway lift. Exhale to fold, and then take it all the way on up. So remember, this form, Samastitihi, is bookending our Surya Namaskar A. Go back to the basics. Go back to the foundations. I love to go back to these building blocks, particularly when my mind is feeling super cluttered, because this is the intention of yoga, the softening of the fluctuations of the mind. I love to go back to what feels simple, fundamental, like holding the whole rest of the practice and all those more nuanced and minute explorations. At the root, we always have this. Yoga is the quieting of the fluctuations of the mind. We don't have to get tricky, complex, or complicated. Inhale your arms wide. Hover your gaze if you'd like. Let's hinge it down on the exhale, Uttanasana. Halfway lift. And then step back and plank pose. This time, let's land knees, but if you'd like, so you can do another round of knees, chest, chin. If you want to build on your chaturanga, let's take it for this first round with the knees landed. So elbows to the ribs, just a little bend, and then inhale. We're taking a high cobra. So on the tops of the thighs or the tops of the knees, untuck the toes and lift. Broaden your collarbones. Then tuck your toes under. You can hover your knees, and it's a lift all the way back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, 2 big breaths. Float your gaze. Remember, you can lunge forward. Perhaps you're working on a hop in your practice. Fold, lift halfway, revisit your fold on the exhale, and then go ahead and come on up. So if you've got a little bit more time in your day and you don't need this to be a lunch break practice, you might move through several rounds of Surya A. I love this sequence because it really truly becomes a moving meditation. We'll take together just one more round. I know it's a little bit more broken up as you're being guided, but if you've got more time, feel free to pause and move through 3, 5, 10, whatever you've got time for. All right. So this time, if you want to start building in those chaturangas, that's your prerogative. Inhale to lift halfway. Exhale to come back to plank. Okay, so option here, you can take any of the previous 2 options or bend into the elbows after a little slip forward and then untuck the toes. You're on the tops of your feet. Reach your heart high. Gaze can stay across the horizon. Then roll up and back over your toes. Adho Mukha Svanasana. 2 more breaths. Hover your gaze forward. Step it up as you arrive at the halfway lift and revisit your fold. Take your arms wide. Hover your gaze. Breathe your palms and your intention back together at your heart. So these foundational, fundamental postures can also be very challenging for the mind, in particular for very experienced practitioners of the physical practice, right? So this is one thing I love. A teacher of mine many years ago recommended going to beginners or intro to yoga classes if you really want to, fine tune the yoga of the mind. And I really recommend it because when we go back to basics, we can oftentimes notice a lot of chatter in the mind. It's like, why are we moving so slow? This isn't advanced enough. What's my definition of advanced? Why am I, I've seen this posture 1,000 times. So maybe you're not experiencing any of that, and that's beautiful. But I challenge you to notice those are the chitta vrittis, right? That's the fluctuations in the mind that we want to work to quiet and still. So let's take on one more foundational sequence, of course, Surya Namaskar B. We'll start here and then sink the hips back as if toward a seat, Utkatasana. You can keep your hands to your heart, or if you'd like, reach your fingertips high. Take a little scoop in with your tailbone. And then exhale, hover the hands down to the earth, Uttanasana. and halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Land your palms and step back. This one's got three opportunities for chaturanga through one sequence. So if you like it, build it in. Otherwise, remember you've got those alternative options. After your extension, go ahead and roll your toes under, and it's Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lift your gaze forward, step your right foot through. Spin your left heel down. You can find a little space from heel to heel, right? So our hips can be as wide as they actually are. Then rise up. It's Vira 1, just for a breath. See if you can sink into your front knee, tuck your ribs just over your pelvic bowl, and then breathe on down, frame your front foot. So this is opportunity number 2 for that chaturanga in this round of Surya A. So if you're building them in, go for it. Roll up and over your toes, Adho Mukha Svanasana. This time, your gaze lifts forward, your left foot steps through. So same variations. Second side, right heel lands down. So you're pressing into the outer blade of your back foot, rise up. Surya B. Remember the ribs tuck over your pelvic bowl. Big bend into your front knee. It's a warrior 1. Breathe on down. Third round of chaturanga in the Surya B. Lift your heart. Roll back and over your toes, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then lift your gaze forward. It's a walk, a lunge, or a hop to the tippy top of your mat. Rise up halfway. Exhale to fold. And then sink your sits bones down and back. Perhaps reach your fingertips high or fold them together at your heart, Utkatasana variation. And then rise all the way up to standing. Fold your palms, Samasthitihi. Okay. So we've done a lot of sun salutations today. There is no, there's nothing that says that working on the fundamentals of the practice is easy. In fact, if anyone's ever done a practice of 108 sun salutations, you know that's certainly not true. I want to do this last round of Surya B, giving you a little bit more space for silence, right? A little bit more space for meditation in the practice. So what I'm going to do is simply name the postures. For those that might be less familiar with Surya Namaskar B, you might want to watch the sequence once and then go back and try it again. We're going to kind of open up that clear space for the mind to really focus in, connect breath with the body movement. So here we go. Surya Namaskar B, round 2. Utkatasana. Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Rest the palms, Palakasana. For those that would like, Chaturanga Dandasana. Lift your heart, extension of your choice. Could be Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Everybody back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lead with the right foot. Virabhadrasana 1. Breathe your hands down. Palakasana. Perhaps Chaturanga. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana. This time, left foot leads. Right heel touches. Virabhadrasana 1. Breathe your hands down. Palakasana. Chaturanga Dandasana. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Lift your gaze to mosey on up. Uttanasana. Ardha Uttanasana. Utkatasana. Samasthitihi. Take a breath. Space to connect. And again, for those who have a little bit more time and space in their day for a longer practice, if you are really tapping into the meditative nature of these sun salutation postures, I really encourage you to pause and build in some extra Surya A's or Surya B's. Okay, so let's all step the right foot way back. You can spin your heel down at the back, but this time the foundation's a little bit different. So it's more like front heel to mid arch. Another kind of foundational standing sequence, foundational to the modern practice, right? So front heel to mid arch, and it's arms outstretched from your shoulders. Virabhadrasana Dve. Second warrior. Again, check where your ribs are in space. Sometimes there's a tendency to lean it forward or lean it back, which we'll do. We'll get there too. We're starting here at the center. Shoot your gaze so focused over your front middle finger. And then land your left forearm atop your left thigh. Or if you've got your blocks handy and you prefer, you might bring your left hand down to a block. Right fingertips reach up and overhead, Parsva Konasana. Perhaps you spin your gaze under your elbow. Draw your navel in, find a lift of your pelvic floor to support you in reaching back toward Viratu. And then drop your right hand to upper thigh or below your knee. And this time you keep that like lightning focused gaze to the middle finger, but your left middle finger is reaching upward. An exalted warrior. And breathe it back to Viratu. Draw both hands in toward your heart. You can spin on your toes to square the long edge of your mat, Prasarita Padottanasana. So perhaps you want to bring your hands to your hips to mosey on down there. Perhaps you want to bring your arms out wide and find a little scissoring action inward toward midline. Land your hands, or for some, you might like to land the crown of your head. And then all variations. Again, you can bring hands to your hips, or you can take your arms wide and find that scissoring action inward toward center. Lift it on up. And then go ahead and rotate your feet so that your right toes point forward toward the short edge of your mat, and the front heel comes toward the mid arch of your back foot. So we're in Viratu foundation on the second side. Take your arms out active from your shoulders. Check where your ribs are. Shoot your gaze so focused over your right middle finger. Find a little squeezing action inward and a lift of your pelvic floor so you get really long in your torso. And then land your right forearm if you like that variation. And lift your left fingertips up and overhead. You can also bring your right hand down to a block if you prefer. Spin your gaze under your left elbow. And let's all lift it back towards center, Viratu. This time, allow your left hand to find upper thigh or below your knee. Sink deep into your front knee. Gaze shoots up over your right middle finger as you reach skyward. Breathe some space into the right ribs. And then go ahead and breathe all the way back to your Viratu. Good. Bring your hands toward your hips. Spin on all the toes once again. This time at center, we're hanging out with Durgasana. So drop heels in and sink down into your hips. Option to keep hands at either hip. Option to take arms out wide, so not warrior variation, right? Or cactus arms if you prefer. Look for the variation that allows you to have clarity and calmness in the mind, even through the challenge in the physical form. Good. And then everyone go ahead and bring your hands either to the earth or find your blocks. I'm going to spin on my toes once again. Drop your weight towards your right hip, Skandasana. So as my knees snap, crackle, pop. You can bring your hands onto your blocks if you like. The left toes will float and you'll land just onto your knee. If you're feeling steady, you can also bring your hands to your heart. Skandasana. And then let's transition on over to the second side. So land your left foot into the earth. Perhaps walk on hands or on your blocks on over. You can wiggle your toes toward the front and swap sides. So right toes hover. You're landing down into your heel. Keep your hands steady at your blocks if you'd like, or draw them into heart. And then land your hands to your blocks. Take a lift with your hips. Swivel around on your feet to take a step forward to the top edge of your mat. Inhale halfway. Exhale, fold. And then go ahead and rise all the way up. Breathe your hands together. Namaste. Okay. So let's take on some standing balance here. This is always an interesting extra challenge in this space that's on a carpet. It's a really great challenge for my proprioception here. So, but at home, make sure you're landing on something steady and stable. You're always welcome to put one hand onto a wall if you'd like. We're going to root down through the right foot as base to begin with and start with Vrikshasana, going fundamental with our balance as well. Left foot can come to the inside the ankle, calf, or up to the inner thigh. We will transition right to our second balancing shape from here. So make sure it's somewhere you feel really sturdy and stable. And then hand variations could be hips, could be folded at heart, could be up overhead. Settle your gaze on something unmoving. Smooth and even breath. Clear and calm in the mind. And then draw your hands back toward heart if they're not already there. You can disconnect your left foot, but keep your left leg hovering. Wrap your left leg across your thigh. You could land here on your tippy toes to a block or to the earth. And because we have left over right on the lower body, the upper body is going to be left under right. And you might come palm to palm, backs of hands, or you can hug to opposite shoulders. Garudasana variation, perhaps sink a little lower into your hips. Another one of my favorite fundamental postures of the yoga practice, Garudasana, dedicated to the eagle Garuda. Let's lengthen the hips, untangle the lower body, untangle the upper body, stand into Tadasana. All right, so create a foundation with your left foot now, left side. Right foot comes to inner ankle, inner calf, or up to inner thigh. Set your eyes on that unmoving point, find a place where you can find clarity, focus, calmness in the mind. A lot of us, our natural state is more mental calamity rather than mental clarity. One of the great gifts of yoga is a reminder to get back to that calm and soft space. All right, so hands back to the heart if you're not already there. You can disconnect your right foot, but keep it hovering, then wrap around, right leg over the top of left. Remember, you can come onto a block here, right? So it could be here, could be on the earth. You could wrap around the back of your calf. And since we're right over left and the arms, it's right under left, reaching back to shoulders, backs of hands, or palm to palm. Garudasana could be a little bit of a deeper sink in your hips, maybe a little bit more of a float with your fingertips. And then go ahead and lengthen, untangle lower body, untangle upper body, the pose of the mountain, Tadasana. And you can take a look here for your blocks if you'd like. And so a couple options here. We'll head down toward Malasana or yogi squat. So the feet are out wider than your hips with the toes pointed out. I have a little bit of a tendency toward hyperextension. So it's weird watching yourself on a recording. I notice all these little things. So maybe a little softness in your knees if you notice that in yourself. And if you feel steady sinking down hands free, you can rest your hands to your heart and come on down there, right? If that's not going to work for you in this moment, find your blocks for support and then go ahead and sink down Malasana. I like to take a block underneath my bum so it keeps my torso heading back and I can actually feel the sensation a little more in the inner thighs, right? Rather than dumping into my bones. So maybe you like that variation. Otherwise, hovering Malasana, elbows come to inner thighs. And then go ahead and lean your weight forward. If you're propped up on a block, you can set it off to the side. Help your sits bones land to the earth. You can lengthen out your legs. Draw your toes back towards your shins, a dorsiflexion. Find a nice tall lift of your spine. And then exhale to fold it forward. Paschimottanasana. You can connect to your toes, your shins, maybe a block out beyond the soles of your feet. Let your head fall down heavy. And then go ahead and rise all the way back toward a nice tall seat. So we'll be making our way down onto the mat for just another posture or maybe two. But have what you like nearby, what you might like for Shavasana as well. So let's go ahead and slide the sits bones forward. Come on down to the earth. And give your knees a hug into your heart. You know, moment to ground into clarity and focus. Maybe a little bit of movement on your low back. Rock both knees over towards your right. Final twist of your choice. You could take the arms out wide like a T or find cactus arms. Gaze might move over your left elbow. Breathe back up and through center. Take a little reset. Perhaps that means repositioning your hips. Remember, you can take the twist of your choice. So stack or stagger your knees. Arms can come from shoulders or cactus arms. Turn your gaze out over your right elbow. And go ahead and lift it all the way back through center. Bring your feet to connect at midline and let your knees angle out wide. You could bring blocks in here to support underneath the outer thigh if you prefer. A Baddha Konasana variation. And perhaps land your hands one to belly, one to your heart, or you can let your arms rest alongside your body. And just feeling into the movement of your breath once again. Reconnecting with this breath body connection. And when we bring the mind into the mix by simply noticing the breath body connection, then all of a sudden we're in this space of mind, breath, body connection. And we get the slowing of the fluctuations of the mind. And we offer it space to focus in a one pointed way. You can help guide your knees back together at center. And then invite your ribs down so that a little bit more of your back is making contact with the earth. Draw your knees in toward your heart once again, and then extend your legs with the soles of your feet upward to the skies in Viparita Karani. Some folks like to take this up on a block. So just to demonstrate, I'll take the block to the lowest setting. I got my whole sacrum under there, so I'm really well supported, and I can extend from there. So if you prefer that variation, you're more than welcome to build that on. The soles of your feet opened, outward stretched to the sky. Your upper body is soft and relaxed, and your breath is smooth. Last inversion. Really bring, again, that awareness as we get upside down to the mind piece of the puzzle, this yogic puzzle. And bend into your knees and slowly offer your feet back down to the earth. If you are propped up on a block, you can raise your hips to release that. And if there's any last form or shape you might like before settling into your last integration, go ahead and find that. Otherwise, you can lengthen out your legs and land into Shavasana. Or if you prefer meditation for your final integration, you have a few minutes to pause and be, right? So that could be in seated meditation for those that prefer, or in your Shavasana. And wherever you settle in this gentle space for a multi-layered place of awareness, I encourage you to watch your thoughts and see if you can visualize them settling down like the flakes of snow in a snow globe when it's shaken. The young children playing with a snow globe, and they'll like really, really shake it, shake it, shake it, shake it until it looks like a storm in the scene. But then, with just a moment of stillness, of observation, those flakes of snow start to settle down, 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 and reveal clarity once again, a clear sky that's always there, resting underneath, right? No matter how many times you might shake up that snow globe, there's always that space of quiet and the skies that are clear if we just allow it to sit long enough in stillness and quiet. And so yoga is not requesting or requiring us to stop our thoughts completely, but rather to observe them without attachment. And as we develop this practice of quieting the mind, we encourage more and more the awakening of that inner light, something that's always there, but a little bit more challenging to connect with when we're really shaken up on the inside. And these movements that Yoga Asana requests of us allow us to lead ourselves gently into a place of stillness. And our breath acts as a force to support clearing the mind. Start to offer in really gentle and unforced forms of movement. Now, wiggles, soft fidgets. You can rock your head from side to side or take a big stretch. If you're in seated meditation, maybe it's a little bit of rolling or circling. You're down on the mat, make your way to one side, and then we'll all come up to a final seat to feel the practice together. And as you make your way there, you can land in a gesture that feels most appropriate for you. So that could be prayer hands at your heart or hands to the earth. And let your head rest low in a gesture of gratitude. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga, as it is defined by Patanjali, is the quieting of the fluctuations in the mind. And I wish you all a very clear and quiet and peaceful remainder of your day ahead. Thank you so much for practicing with me today, and I hope to see you back very soon. Thank you so much. Mm. Coming for you. I always have this crawl forward as I close out of class. Thank you so much for joining. Bye bye.